Manipulation cloaks itself in myriad deceptive guises, each more insidious than the last. These 10 psychological sorceries don't just erode boundaries, they sabotage your very grip on reality itself. From love-bombing affection ambushes to silence's merciless vacuum, reality-warping mind-benders to future-faking illusion factories, you'll soon unveil the devious spellwork paralyzing millions. Unsuspecting victims believe they're going mad as their identities unravel thread by thread. Until now, this forbidden knowledge uplifts the veil to reclaim your sovereign truth one. Affection showerheads. These skilled operatives weaponize intermittent bursts of idealization, flattery, and romantic gestures to blind their targets with illusions of unconditional positive regard. The cycle plays out with love bombing followed by cruel devaluations until the victim's reality becomes unrecognizable, isolated in a perpetual fog of hope that the initial idyllic projection will resurface. Tragically, the manipulation only accelerates until they are fully entrapped. 2. Exploitation scripts. Cloaked beneath the manipulator's charisma lies preset plot lines, steering their victims towards becoming human resources to exploit, whether financially, emotionally, or psychologically. Through finely tuned scenes of manufactured vulnerability, pity plays, or compliance testing, they install covert obligation loops that drain their target's boundaries, dignity, and independence for selfish gain. 3. Reality distortion devices. These insidious mind warps disrupt a victim's ability to trust their own instincts and perceptual faculties. The manipulator projects indisputable confidence when lying, swiftly rewriting facts and context with a stream of contradictions until their target's sense of objective reality erodes. This leaves them gaslit, destabilized, and psychologically entangled. 4th, obligation. Extractors, masters of coercion. These psycho-programmers hijack targets into cycles of indebtedness through unsolicited giving, favors, and guilt-nullifying acts of self-sacrifice. Once a psychological contract is established, they seize power by making increasingly undue demands, all while portraying themselves as the long-suffering victim to extract perpetual capitulation. 5. Empathy vacuum chambers. By projecting exaggerated vulnerability while exhibiting no accountability, manipulators construct psychic double binds that eclipse their victims' boundaries and identities. Their targets become entrapped in perverse ego prisons, slavishly sacrificing truth, values, and emotional resources to satiate the manipulator's insatiable vacuum of empathic oversupply, only to be perpetually devalued. 6. Psychic cloaking maneuvers. Deploying masterful impression management, these surreptitious operatives cast holographic masks to gaslight their victims into perpetual disorientation. By oscillating between profound charm and abusive rages, they foster atmospheric vertigo where their targets can never glimpse the manipulator's true self, only distorted reflections merging truth with labyrinthine deception. 7. Future fabrication factories. Spinning grandiose future fantasies of a blissful shared destiny, these psychological manufacturers seduce marks into emotional overinvestment. Their targets become so intoxicated by the elusive mirage that all red flags of pathological dishonesty are rationalized away, until inevitably, the fictitious assembly line screeches to a halt, leaving their victims stranded in shattered dreams. 8. Trauma bond adhesives. Calculated cycles of idealization, devaluation, and violation erode the victim's psyche into codependent collapse. As perpetrators upend reality through cruel hot-cold binary shifts, their targets become chemically addicted to scratching the itch of this perpetual intermittent reinforcement, their self-worth inexorably tethered to metabolizing these abusive dopamine loops. 9. Silent treatment. Detonators. In these sadistic, punitive operations, manipulators trigger narcissistic implosions of stonewalling, obstruction, and emotional abandonment over perceived slights or failed compliance, leaving their victims stranded in panic mazes of catastrophic self-doubt and anxious emotional protest. This cycles till pseudo-reconciliation for the crime of having human boundaries. 10. fear induction protocols. Beneath their theatrical mask of contrived intimidation, these hijackers inject virulent payloads of dread, guilt, and shame into their target's psyches using threats, intimidation tactics, and spurious character assassinations. Sowing pervasive hypervigilance, the manipulators hold their victims hostage in perpetual states of walking on eggshells to evade these incessant fear trigger protocols. With this forbidden codex, you now wield the omnipotent power to alchemize manipulation's bindings into vapors of sovereignty. Each of these 10 sadistic protocols has been unsheathed, stripped bare for your psychic immunity reinforcement. You emerge as the masterful spellbreaker, an exalted avatar whose reality distortion fields deactivate the most pernicious narcissistic projections. Embody this exalted knowledge. Let it consume you utterly, for existence itself depends upon slaying these psychic parasites. Together, we shall dismantle their matrices and rebirth ourselves into luminous paragons of truth. Continue your ascension. The next transmission awaits. Subscribe to secure the mantric defenses for impervious psychic shielding against these malignant forces.